Do gyms make you nervous? Does working out kind of feel very intimidating? What about lifting weights? So if you're anything like me, as I was many years ago, and I'm talking about a lot of years ago, physical activity pretty much terrified me. And if you have been trying to work out, especially because now women over 40 are told everywhere, it's in your face all over the place, that women should be lifting weights and lifting heavy. And maybe you've never done that with your body, and maybe you've tried, right? But maybe it didn't work. Maybe you got hurt. Maybe you just felt like this was not the right fit for you. Maybe you were in pain, like in not a good way. And trust me, many women attempt working out and they attempt lifting weights and they fail. And it's not because they're lazy or because they didn't try hard enough or because they're just not good at it. I'll be honest with you, movement is not so easy. Moving biomechanically well, doing squats, doing lunges, doing things like that are really challenging. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this to validate the fact that it is hard and it's not that you're not good at it. Hi, I'm Jennifer Mary Elizabeth. I am a mental health coach with a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling, and I am also a weight training coach, and I own a fitness facility. This is my in-studio place where we work with we worked with over 1,000 women, probably over 1,500 women over the years, teaching them how to lift weights. And we are told, right, that it is all you have to do is dedicate yourself. All you have to do is have discipline. All you do is have to have the willpower. And I can tell you that it's not just that. There is a lot more to it, and a lot of it honestly isn't given to teaching women how do we do this from the very absolute beginning basics. A lot of times in the studio with our new clients that come in, we start with what I call the wax on, wax off phase. Do you remember the Karate Kid when he had to do the whole paint the fence thing, wax on, wax off? And he said to Mr. Miyagi, and he was like, well, when am I actually going to learn to fight? When am I going to actually learn to do these things? And he didn't realize through a lot of that conditioning that he was doing, painting the fence, waxing on, waxing off, that he was developing a whole new connection with his body. He was teaching his body how to move a certain way. So I describe a lot of what we do with clients in the beginning as the wax on, wax off phase. And we are teaching clients from the very beginning exactly what it is supposed to feel like to activate your hamstrings, activate your glutes, to have a stack, right? A stack is how we stand. We stand in a positional way when we move, right? We cannot just do a lunge on an unstable surface, which is pretty much an unstacked surface. And when we teach clients like this from the very beginning, a lot of times they look at the exercise and they think it is simple, but once they start to do it in the connected way that we are talking to them about, that we are teaching them how to do, which is basically teaching them to have really good internal stability. We are basically teaching them how to move biomechanically really well. We are teaching them to use muscles that never have gotten used before, simply because they were in a very compensatory pattern. And when we teach clients how to do this, then when they get to a situation that they have to do now lunges, now squats, people start with squats all the time, and squats are supposed to be simple, but they're not. I can assure you, doing a really good squat is not that simple. It's not as easy as sit down, stand up. That's not what is happening in a squat. So when we teach these foundational basics, right, very many of our clients who were never athletic before, okay, they have become tremendously athletic. And in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there is no limit to when this part has to stop. I'm 52, okay, and I've been in this field for quite some time. Not on YouTube, obviously. I'm new here because our in-studio is quite full now. Okay, it has been full for quite some time. So I'm starting to make a lot of the videos, right? So our clients can use them at home too. And for clients that we cannot see in the studio because we just don't have the room. It's a blessing for us to have, but I want to be able to help as many people as I possibly could have. And one thing that is not taught in fitness, in my opinion, is how to break down a very simple movement in very small steps so you can do it 100% successfully. And not only that, when you really learn how to move correctly, you build such total volume of muscle all around your body versus compensatory muscle. What is the difference between total muscle and compensatory muscle? Compensatory muscle is when you tend to use the same areas of your body to do pretty much everything. For example, someone will say to me, I can't lift weights too much because if I lift weights too much, I'm going to get too big and bulky. And I'm like, trust me, that's not true, okay? I try to get bigger, right? I like having bigger shoulders and I like having bigger arms, and it is not so easy for a woman. But yes, it can be true if you are using the same muscle for everything. For example, a lot of times people use their upper neck and their shoulders to do everything, but they never actually reach their back muscles. They never actually reach their lat muscles because they are compensating with their shoulders, with their neck. And when that happens, yes, then we can start to look like my neck is getting huge. But it's not that you're building such a ton of muscle. It's really that you're compensating in a way that it's forcing your pattern into a way that makes it look like that muscle is growing so largely. This often happens with our quads as well. A lot of times, oh, here's a step, for example. Our quads here can do so much work, right? But the back side of us can do almost no work. This is so common. So that refers to the front of us is our anterior chain, the back side of us is our posterior chain. Very often, the anterior chain or our quads or our hip flexors are doing everything for us. For example, even in a glute bridge or a hip thrust. Okay, when I meet with a new client and we go through some positional movements and I say, where do you feel that? And they often pause and they're like, And they never really think about where are they feeling it. They're counting the reps, they're putting more weight on, right? But they have no idea what they're supposed to be feeling. They may know their glutes are supposed to work in a glute bridge, but what really is working is their hip flexors and quads. So breaking this part down to teach people how to neuromuscularly and biomechanically move really well, okay, is a very different skill set. And that is what I teach here. And this is what a lot of the playlists that you're going to see for beginner workouts, okay, is to teach you how to fundamentally and foundationally feel the right thing so that when you progress to a lunge, when you progress to a squat, that you can actually do it authentically, genuinely, and not, most of all, compensatory. We don't want to be compensatory in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. I mean, personally, I don't think you should be compensating at any time in life, right? Which means like, I'm using my knees to do everything, or I'm using my shoulders to do everything, or my neck to do everything. We should not be compensating at any time, because think about it. What happens if you use those parts over and over and over again? Eventually, they are going to wear out. It's the same thing as not rotating the tires on your car. You wouldn't do that. You would take your car into the shop and you would get your tires rotated, right? So that you make sure you are not wearing out parts of your car. The same thing has to happen with our body. And if we don't do this, right, we just kind of fall into the same pattern, right? And that's a lot of times too. Why? You'll see people work out forever and they never look much different, right? Because they don't know how to position their body in a way that they can actually access other muscles. And there is a big backstory to how to do that. And there's a lot of teaching involved, which is why each of these exercises that you're going to see in this playlist are going to break it down step by step. And it's going to sound foundationally like, oh, I know how to do a chest press. But I will tell you, anybody could lay on the bench and push their arms up and down, okay? It is a very different feel when you actually have the supporting muscles working the way that they should. When you're actually not feeling your elbow work, how many times, okay, do women come in with tennis elbow, okay, golfer's elbow, or they come in with frozen shoulder, right? And they're trying to do these exercises, right, but their body is in pain. And it should not feel like that. I can tell you 100%, it should not feel like that. And you should never push through pain that is damaging. And learning how to move and getting your muscles to actually support you is not as easy as social media makes it look. So rest that aside for yourself. It's not that you're inept. It's not that you're incapable. It's just that you really haven't been taught. Lastly, well, maybe not lastly, maybe nextly, right? A sweatier workout is not a better workout. There are times to push yourself to get your heart rate to go up, but just because you're doing more lunges and you're sweating more, it doesn't mean you're getting the benefit of that lunge. Just because you're doing 1,000 burpees doesn't mean you're getting a ton of benefit. And in my opinion, there is no benefit in a burpee, okay? I can think of so many more things I would do with my clients' time besides making them do 1,000 burpees, okay, before making them do a ton of jump lunges or jump squats, or holding a plank for 3 to 5 minutes, okay? Because a lot of times, again, these things aren't done in a manner that really is progressing the body. A lot of times it's done in a manner that is breaking down the body. And we don't want that, especially over 40. I know myself at age 52, I'm doing the best I can to stay in the game. I could still deadlift, I can still squat, okay? I just got my 260-pound deadlift in at 3 reps, okay, not too long ago. And do I try to hit PRs all the time? No, because I'm trying to protect my body as best as I can. But I want to know that I can still biomechanically be able to do this as long as I can. Once these foundations are in place and people are able to understand their movement patterns better, understand their compensatory patterns better, then things start to click. Deadlifts, squats, lunges, pull-ups, chest press, bench press, all of those things, they start to click. And that's when the magic begins to happen. When that happens, women start to notice how much muscle they actually can build. And it didn't require having to sweat their face off and run around in circuits. It didn't have to do that, right? They were able to take a different approach. And that's what I'm going to be teaching here in this playlist. So if you've ever felt like you just can't get it right, this whole workout thing, okay, I promise you, you can do it. It's just going to take maybe a different thought process. In fact, I know it takes a different thought process, how to think about movement. It is different. And I'm making it sound somewhat simplistic here, or maybe I'm making it sound too complicated. I'm not sure. But once you learn step by step, you will be amazed at what you're going to be able to notice about your own body. So I hope you stay and you check out the playlist. I'm going to keep adding exercises onto here as I start uploading more to YouTube, one to help our clients here in our studio. And then if you don't get to be here, right, this might be of help to you too. So I hope you can like and subscribe and come back and see all of the things that I'm going to be teaching you. Bye.